They silent resistance. The sky above New Shanghai burned violet as the Treasury motherships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the Alpine Defense Station's observation deck, her expression unreadable as she watched her homeworld fall. The massive viewscreen displayed real-time footage from across the globe. Defense towers crumbling, orbital platforms disintegrating, and civilians fleeing for shelters that offered no true protection. "Status report," Sarah demanded, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before her. Lieutenant Marcus Reed glanced up from his console, eyes hollow. "Earth's orbital defenses are at 8% capacity. Ground forces are scattered, communications compromised. The Treasury have established foothold operations on all continents except Antarctica." Sarah nodded, processing the information with military discipline while her heart raged. The Treasury had emerged from deep space just 5 days ago, crystalline beings with technology centuries beyond human understanding. Their first message had been coldly logical. Humans were evolutionarily unpredictable, genetically chaotic, and therefore a cosmic liability. Their extermination was simply efficient galactic housekeeping. "General Takahashi is requesting emergency communication," announced Communications Officer Ling Wei. The main screen shifted to show General Takahashi's face, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead, smoke billowing behind him. "Commander Chen," the general's voice broke through static. "This is a direct order. Activate protocol resonance. Earth is lost." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Sir, we still have fighters in the air." "The Pacific Defense Fleet is gone, Commander. Australia fell 30 minutes ago." The general's eyes hardened. "The Treasury don't know about the Dauntless or Project Resonance. You must preserve what might be humanity's last hope." A massive explosion rocked the general's command center. The feed cut to static before returning briefly to show nothing but rubble where he had stood. "Channel lost, Commander," Ling said quietly. Sarah stood frozen for only a moment before military discipline took over. "Sound evacuation orders. All essential personnel to transport shuttles. Transfer all resonance data to the Dauntless secure servers." The Alpine station erupted into controlled chaos as scientists and soldiers rushed to follow orders. Sarah strode purposefully through corridors toward the secure hangar where Earth's most classified military project waited. The Dauntless sat in the cavernous mountain hangar, sleek and dangerous. Unlike the bulky human carriers being destroyed in orbit, the Dauntless was elegant, with smooth lines and weapon systems integrated seamlessly into its hull. It was humanity's prototype vessel, built with technology reverse-engineered from fragments of an ancient alien craft discovered beneath the Antarctic ice. Dr. Ileana Patel met Sarah at the ship's entrance ramp. "The neural interfaces are loaded and the resonance protocol is secure," she reported. "But Sarah, it's still experimental. We haven't completed the final testing phase." "Testing just became live combat," Sarah replied grimly. "Are the command codes transferred?" Ileana nodded. "Yes, you'll have full control once we're aboard." "Commander," Marcus called, running toward them with a tablet. "Incoming transmission from the Treasury command vessel. They're broadcasting across all frequencies." Sarah took the tablet, and the face of a Treasury appeared. Crystalline features refracting light, its form pulsing with inner energy. "People of Earth," the creature spoke through a translation system, "your resistance has concluded. Your military forces are neutralized. Your governing bodies are disbanded. We have achieved victory. Those who submit will be permitted continued existence under our supervision. Those who persist in resistance will be eliminated." Sarah handed the tablet back to Marcus. "They think it's over. Let's make sure they're wrong." She turned to the gathered personnel, 40 of the Alpine Station's best soldiers, engineers, and scientists. "Board the Dauntless. We leave in 10 minutes." As the crew boarded, Sarah entered the ship's command center. The neural interface chair awaited at the center, a marvel of human ingenuity combined with fragments of alien technology. Project Resonance was humanity's secret weapon, a system that would connect human minds directly to combat systems, bypassing the delays of physical controls and allowing instantaneous reactions. Pre-flight checks complete, reported Chief Engineer Kamal Singh. Reactor at 100%. Stealth systems engage. Sarah settled into the neural interface chair. Seal all hatches. Prepare for departure. The Dauntless hummed to life around her. Through the viewports, Sarah could see the hangar doors opening to reveal the star-filled night sky. Earth sprawled below, beautiful despite the flashes of weapons fire that scared its atmosphere. Commander, Ling said from the communication station, "We're receiving scattered transmissions from surviving human outposts across the solar system. Some military units remain operational. Send them the coded signal," Sarah ordered. "Tell them to go dark and await further instructions." The Dauntless lifted off, slipping out of the Alpine hangar with barely a whisper from its engines. As the ship accelerated away from Earth's orbit, the crew watched in silence as the Treasury vessels surrounded their homeworld, claiming their prize. "They think they've won," Sarah said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming." On the main screen, a Treasury battle cruiser passed directly overhead, its sensors failing to detect the stealth human vessel beneath. The alien ship continued toward Earth, joining the occupation fleet. "Plot a course for the Mars underground," Sarah ordered. "We need to gather what's left of our forces." As the Dauntless's engines powered up for the jump to Mars, Sarah accessed the resonance protocol for the first time. The neural interface activated, connecting her mind directly to the ship's systems. Information flooded her consciousness: weapon capabilities, engine status, enemy positions, all processed at the speed of thought. "Resonance protocol online," the ship's AI announced. "Neural sync at 82% efficiency." Sarah felt the ship become an extension of herself, responding to her thoughts as if it were part of her own body. The Treasury had no knowledge of this technology. They believed they were fighting conventional human forces, not warriors neurally linked to their machines. "They declared victory too soon," Sarah said as the Dauntless accelerated toward Mars, vanishing into the darkness of space. Behind them, Earth burned under alien occupation, its defenders scattered and defeated. But across the solar system, the coded signal reached hidden outposts and fleeing ships. The message was simple but powerful. "Earth has FALN. The enemy THEYVE DON. Maintain silence. Await the resonance." The war for humanity's survival had only just begun. 2 months after Earth's fall, the Dauntless drifted silently through the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display showing Mars, once a thriving colony with 16 million inhabitants, now under Treasury control, its dome cities harvested for resources. "Proximity alert," Marcus whispered from his station. "Ship approaching, bearing 045. Sarah nodded. "Hold position. Maintain stealth systems." The crew tensed as a battered mining vessel appeared from behind a large asteroid, moving cautiously and using the field for cover. "It's the Perseverance," Ling confirmed. "Admiral Zhou's ship. They're transmitting the recognition code." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Establish secure channel." The view screen flickered, revealing Admiral Mai Zhou's weathered face. Her once pristine uniform was worn, and her eyes carried the haunted look common to all human survivors. "Commander Chen," she said, "good to see you survived the initial attack." "Likewise, Admiral. We have room in our docking bay if you'd like to come aboard." Hours later, they sat in the Dauntless's conference room. Admiral Zhou studied the holographic display showing the scattered remnants of humanity's forces across the solar system. "You've been busy," she commented, noting the 18 blinking lights representing human ships that had joined their cause. "But it's not enough to challenge the Treasury." Sarah activated another display showing schematics of the resonance protocol. "This might change that assessment, Admiral." Engineer Kamal Singh stood, his hands animated as he explained. The resonance protocol isn't just an advanced weapon system. It's a neural interface that links human consciousness directly to our ship systems. In practical terms, Sarah added, it means our reaction times are instantaneous, no delay between thought and action. One pilot becomes their entire ship. Admiral Joe frowned. That's impossible. The human brain can't process that much information. Dr. Ilyana Patel stepped forward. Actually, it can. We discovered that the brain has untapped potential when connected to the right interface. Resonance harnesses that potential. She pointed to a section of the schematic. We've also discovered that multiple pilots can link together, creating a sort of combat network while maintaining individual control of their vessels. The Admiral's eyes widened. And the Treasury don't know about this technology. No, Sarah confirmed. We kept it completely compartmentalized. Only the Alpine Research Base had the full specs, and we evacuated all data before it fell. Admiral Joe stood, pacing the room as she processed this information. We need more ships, more pilots. That's why we called you here, Sarah said. Your rank gives you authority over any surviving military units. Together, we can gather what's left of humanity's fleet. The Admiral nodded decisively. Let's get to work. Over the next weeks, coded messages spread through the hidden corners of the solar system. Human survivors, military and civilian alike, began making their way to the rendezvous point in the asteroid belt. The fleet grew, first 5 ships, then 15, then 32. Each vessel carried its own story of narrow escape and desperate survival. Deep in the Dauntless's engineering bay, Kamal worked tirelessly to adapt the resonance protocol for installation on the other ships. The neural interfaces are the tricky part, he explained to Sarah during a late-night inspection. They need to be calibrated for each pilot's unique brain patterns. Sarah watched as technicians carefully installed the delicate equipment into a salvaged military cruiser. How long until the entire fleet is equipped? Kamal wiped sweat from his brow. Another 2 weeks, maybe 3. But Sarah, he lowered his voice. There's something I've discovered. When multiple pilots link through resonance, there's a synchronization effect. The neural connection becomes stronger than the sum of its parts. Is that dangerous? Sarah asked. Not dangerous, but powerful in ways we don't fully understand yet. Meanwhile, Admiral Zhao established a command structure among the growing fleet. Training sessions began with experienced pilots learning to use the new neural interfaces. The first attempts were disorienting, with pilots overwhelmed by the direct neural connection to their ships. But soon they adapted, and the results were remarkable. It's like becoming the ship, one pilot explained after a training run. I don't push buttons to fire weapons, I just decide to fire, and it happens. As their preparations continued, information trickled in from Earth through encrypted quantum transmissions. A resistance movement had formed among the surviving humans, led by a former engineer named David Rodriguez. His guerrilla forces conducted hit-and-run attacks against Treasury installations, gathering intelligence and sabotaging alien operations. Sarah studied the reports in her quarters. Earth's resistance was brave but outmatched. Without external support, they would eventually be crushed by the Treasury's superior technology. Time was running out. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Admiral Zhao entered, carrying a data tablet. Our scouts have returned from Jupiter's moons, she said, handing Sarah the tablet. The Treasury have established major processing centers on Ganymede and Callisto. They're stripping resources at an alarming rate. Sarah reviewed the scout footage. Massive Treasury harvesters tore into the moon's surfaces, extracting valuable minerals. They're not just occupying our system, they're consuming it. There's something else, the Admiral added. The scout ships used passive resonance protocols during their reconnaissance. The Treasury scanners never detected them. We were able to get close enough to intercept their communications. Sarah looked up sharply. What did you learn? The Treasury aren't a unified species. They're a collective of different crystalline entities unified under a central hive mind. And they're afraid of humans. Afraid? They conquered us in less than a week. Admiral Zhou's eyes gleamed. They fear our unpredictability, our chaotic nature. That's why they attacked, not because we were a threat now, but because we might become one in the future. Sarah stood, moving to the viewport where Earth was a distant blue dot. Then they should be very afraid of what's coming. The next day, the command staff gathered on the Dauntless's bridge. Sarah activated the main display, showing a treasury supply convoy near Jupiter. "This is our first target," she announced. 3 transport ships with minimal escort, carrying processed minerals from Jupiter's moons to their fleet at Earth. She looked at the assembled officers. "It's time to show the treasury that humanity is not defeated." Admiral Zhou nodded in agreement. "All ships, prepare for combat operations. This is the beginning of our counterattack." As the human fleet moved into position, hidden among the asteroids, Sarah connected to the resonance neural interface. The familiar rush of information flooded her mind as she became one with the Dauntless. Around her, 32 other ships activated their interfaces, their pilots experiencing the same transformation. Then something new happened. As planned, Kamal activated the fleet-wide neural network. Suddenly, Sarah could sense the other pilots, not their thoughts, but their presence, their intentions, their tactical awareness. 33 ships became a single organism with multiple parts, all moving with perfect coordination. "Resonance protocol fully engaged," Kamal's voice announced over the comm. All ships reporting successful neural synchronization. Sarah felt the power of their combined consciousness directed toward a single purpose. The treasury had declared victory too soon. They had conquered Earth, but they had never faced the full resonance of humanity's ingenuity. The silent storm was gathering, and soon it would break upon the unsuspecting enemy. The HFY Universe storm. The human fleet hung motionless among the asteroids surrounding Jupiter, their stealth systems rendering them invisible to treasury scanners. Through the neural link of the resonance protocol, Sarah felt rather than saw the positions of the 32 other ships in their formation. Their crew's collective consciousness hummed at the edge of her awareness, focused, determined, ready. "Treasury convoy approaching," Marcus reported, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. 3 minutes until they enter the kill zone. Admiral Zhou's voice came through the neural link. "Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, and withdraw before reinforcements arrive. This isn't about destroying their entire convoy. It's about showing them we still exist." Sarah acknowledged with a thought, the neural interface translating her intention into a fleet-wide command. The human ships adjusted their positions microscopically, weapon systems powering up while remaining in stealth mode. The treasury convoy appeared, 3 massive haulers flanked by 2 escort vessels, their crystalline structures gleaming in the distant sunlight. They moved with the confidence of undisputed conquerors, their sensors sweeping space in standard patterns, never designed to detect the unique stealth technology of the Dauntless and its fleet. "Resonance synchronization at 94%, Kamal reported. "Higher than projected." Sarah felt it, the 33 human vessels breathing as one. Their systems aligned through the neural network with an efficiency that exceeded all simulations. Time seemed to slow as the treasury ships entered the designated attack zone. "On my mark," Sarah thought, and felt the acknowledgement ripple through the neural net. 3, 2, 1. Execute. 33 human vessels decloaked simultaneously, their weapons already firing before they fully materialized on treasury sensors. The escort vessels took the brunt of the initial salvo, their crystalline shields shattering under the perfectly coordinated barrage. Sarah didn't need status reports. Through the resonance link, she directly perceived the battle unfolding across a 1,000,000-kilometer sphere. The human fleet moved like a single organism, each ship instinctively knowing its role in the attack pattern without verbal commands. The first treasury escort vessel cracked, energy bleeding from its shattered structure. The second attempted evasive maneuvers, but 3 human ships anticipated its trajectory, cutting off its escape route with precision fire. Alert, Ling called out. The haulers are transmitting distress signals. Sarah nodded. That's what we want. Let them call for help. Through the resonance link, she directed 10 ships to target the lead hauler. Their weapons fired in a synchronized sequence that exploited the brief fluctuations in the vessel's shields. The tertiary ship's outer hull fractured, exposing its crystalline core. They're transmitting something else, Ling reported, surprise evident in her voice. It's confusion. Their communications indicate they don't understand our attack pattern. They're used to fighting predictable enemies, Admiral Zhao said. Not a unified consciousness. The second hauler attempted to accelerate away, but 5 human vessels cut off its retreat. Their attacks weren't random. Through the resonance network, each ship targeted specific weaknesses in sequence, creating cascading failures in the tertiary systems. Sarah felt a ripple of alarm through the resonance link. Tertiary reinforcements incoming, she announced before the sensors even registered the spatial distortion. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes. Right on schedule, Admiral Zhou replied. Execute Phase 2. The human fleet's attack pattern shifted seamlessly. 20 vessels continued their assault on the convoy while 13, including the Dauntless, broke formation and moved to intercept the arrival points of the reinforcements. The first tertiary battle cruiser emerged from faster-than-light travel directly into a withering barrage from 5 waiting human ships. Its weapons still dormant from the transit, the crystalline vessel took significant damage before its defensive systems activated. They're broadcasting fleet-wide alerts, Ling reported, calling for additional reinforcements. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Good. Let them spread the word. The neural link hummed with heightened energy as the human fleet executed a complex dance around the disoriented tertiary reinforcements. 3 more enemy vessels appeared, but each arrival was met with precise, coordinated fire that prevented them from forming a cohesive defense. Resonance synchronization at 97%, Kamal announced, his voice tinged with awe. The network is evolving. Sarah felt it, a deepening of the connection between the ships. Not just coordination, but anticipation. The fleet wasn't just responding to her commands. They were acting on shared intention, moving faster than conscious thought. Phase 3, Admiral Zhao ordered, and without further communication, the human fleet began its choreographed withdrawal. Half the ships cloaked immediately, vanishing from tertiary sensors. The remaining vessels continued firing, covering their companions' retreat. Then, in waves of 3, the visible ships also activated their stealth systems and pulled back. The Dauntless was among the last to cloak. As Sarah prepared to disengage, she directed a final message to be broadcast toward the damaged tertiary vessels. You declared victory too soon. You have not won. You have awakened the storm. The Dauntless vanished from tertiary sensors, joining the rest of the human fleet as they slipped away into the vastness of the solar system. Hours later, with the fleet safely regrouped at the secondary rendezvous point near Saturn's rings, Sarah stood in the Dauntless's conference room with the senior command staff. Damage report, she asked. Marcus consulted his tablet. Minimal. 3 ships with moderate hull damage, no casualties. The resonance protocol allowed us to anticipate and evade 94% of enemy fire. And the tertiary losses. 2 escort vessels destroyed, 1 hauler critically damaged, 2 battle cruisers severely compromised. More importantly, he added with a smile, they're confused. We've intercepted their communications. They don't understand how we coordinated our attack with such precision. Admiral Zhou nodded. Psychological impact was always our primary objective. The tertiary thought they were dealing with scattered, broken remnants. Now they know differently. Sarah turned to Kamal. The resonance network performed beyond expectations. Explain. The engineer scratched his beard thoughtfully. It's fascinating. The neural link strengthened during combat. The pilot's brainwave patterns actually synchronized further than our models predicted. It's as if the network is self-reinforcing. Is it safe? Admiral Zhao asked. Yes, Kamal replied. All pilots reported normal disconnection after the battle. No neural bleed-over or lingering effects. But the potential, if we could expand the network, bring more ships and pilots into resonance. Dr. Ilyana Patel stepped forward. I've analyzed the neural data. With each pilot we add to the network, the overall synchronization improves exponentially, not linearly. 30 ships gave us 97% synchronization. 100 might approach 99.9%. Sarah considered this information. And what happens at 99.9% synchronization? Theoretically, Ilyana's eyes gleamed. Perfect tactical unity. Every ship in the fleet acting as a single organism, responding faster than any enemy could comprehend. For 6 weeks, the human fleet executed hit-and-run attacks throughout the solar system. Each strike targeted tertiary supply lines, communication nodes, and isolated outposts. Never engaging in prolonged battles, never risking significant assets, but constantly demonstrating their inexplicable ability to coordinate with impossible precision. Meanwhile, the fleet continued to grow. Word of the successful attacks spread through hidden human outposts, bringing more survivors to join the resistance. Engineers worked around the clock to equip every vessel with the resonance technology. In her quarters aboard the Dauntless, Sarah reviewed the latest intelligence from Earth. The tertiary occupation forces had grown increasingly erratic in their responses to the guerrilla resistance on the ground. Their once methodical patrols now showed signs of haste and apprehension. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Ilyana Patel entered, carrying a neural interface headset. You asked for updates on the resonance modifications, she said, placing the device on Sarah's desk. We've upgraded the interfaces. The new design allows for deeper neural engagement and faster synchronization. Sarah examined the sleek headset. Side effects? None detected in simulations. But there's something else. Ilyana hesitated. We've been analyzing the data from each engagement. The resonance network isn't just connecting our ships, it's learning, adapting. With each battle, the synchronization improves. Meaning what exactly? Meaning we might be ready sooner than expected. The Earth Liberation Plan you and Admiral Zhou developed for 6 months from now. We could be ready in 3 weeks. Sarah's head snapped up. Are you certain? The data supports it. With the expanded fleet and improved resonance technology, we now have 112 combat-capable vessels. If we activate full synchronization across all ships simultaneously, the storm breaks, Sarah finished. 3 weeks later, the human fleet, now 147 vessels strong, gathered in high orbit around Saturn, hidden from tertiary sensors by the planet's dense rings. On the Dauntless's bridge, Sarah stood before the assembled command staff. Today, we take back our home, she said simply. The tertiary believe they understand humans. They believe we are chaotic, unpredictable, and therefore dangerous. They were right about one thing. We are dangerous, but not because we lack unity. Because when pushed to the edge of extinction, humanity finds a unity of purpose no other species can comprehend. She activated the main display, showing the tactical overview of Earth and its tertiary occupation force. The resistance on the ground has been informed. When our attack begins, they will target key facilities. Our primary objective is the tertiary command structure, their hive mind nexus located in what was once Geneva. Secondary objectives are their orbital defense platforms. Admiral Zhou continued the briefing. Fleet deployment will occur in 3 waves. First wave targets orbital defenses. Second wave establishes air superiority. Third wave provides ground support for resistance forces. All ships will maintain resonance protocol throughout the engagement. Kamal spoke next. The resonance network has been enhanced. Based on our simulations, we expect synchronization to reach unprecedented levels. Every pilot will experience deeper integration than in previous engagements. Trust the connection. Let it guide you. Sarah nodded. Take your stations. We jump in 30 minutes. As the command staff dispersed, Sarah settled into her neural interface chair. The familiar sensation of connecting to the Dauntless washed over her, ship systems becoming extensions of her consciousness. But this time, something was different. As the fleet-wide resonance network activated, the connection felt deeper, more profound. She could sense every vessel in the fleet, not just their positions, but their readiness, their determination. 147 ships, over 2,000 crew members, all breathing as one entity. Their collective will focus to a single purpose: reclaiming Earth. Resonance synchronization at 98.2%, Kamal reported, his voice distant as Sarah's awareness expanded through the network. 99.1%, 99.6%. The sensation was overwhelming. Thousands of minds unified not by surrendering individuality but by sharing purpose. Sarah felt the entire fleet as if it were her own body, each ship a limb moving with perfect coordination. Synchronization at 99.9%. Kamal whispered. Full resonance achieved. All ships, Sarah commanded, her thought rippling through the network instantaneously. Execute jump sequence. Bring the storm. In perfect unison, 147 human vessels vanished from Saturn's orbit, their faster-than-light drives engaging simultaneously. Across the solar system, the Treasury observation posts detected a massive energy surge, but had no time to analyze it before the human fleet materialized in Earth orbit. The Treasury Defense Fleet reacted with disciplined precision, exactly as expected, but they were fighting an enemy unlike any they had encountered. The human vessels moved not as individual ships, but as facets of a single consciousness, anticipating Treasury responses before they occurred. Sarah directed the battle through thought alone, the resonance network translating her intentions into complex tactical patterns executed with impossible precision. Treasury vessels fired at human ships that were no longer where they appeared to be, the fleet's movements synchronized beyond the aliens' ability to predict. Orbital defenses at 60% capacity, Marcus reported. Treasury fleet in disarray. Sarah nodded, already aware through the resonance network. Second wave. Deploy. 45 human ships broke formation, descending into Earth's atmosphere. The Treasury ground forces responded, defensive batteries firing skyward, but the human vessels flowed around the attacks like water around stones. Ground resistance forces are engaging, Ling announced. They've taken control of 3 major Treasury installations in North America. The battle unfolded across Earth and near orbit, the human fleet's perfect coordination overwhelming the Treasury's superior technology. Their crystalline vessels shattered one by one, unable to adapt to an enemy that acted with single-minded purpose yet unpredictable tactics. Through the resonance link, Sarah felt a change in the Treasury response pattern. They're redirecting forces to protect the hive mind nexus in Geneva, she thought to the fleet. That confirms our intelligence. Third wave, engage. The Dauntless led 30 ships toward the European continent, breaking through the remaining Treasury orbital defenses. Below, they could see the massive crystalline structure that had replaced the United Nations headquarters, the physical manifestation of the Treasury hive mind that coordinated their occupation. All ships, target the nexus, Sarah commanded. Synchronized barrage. The human fleet opened fire as one, their weapons perfectly calibrated to exploit the resonant frequencies of the crystalline structure. The Treasury nexus began to fracture, energy discharges arcing between its spires. They're attempting to establish a communication channel, Ling reported. Sarah hesitated then. Accept the transmission. The main screen flickered, showing a Treasury entity, more elaborate and complex than any they had encountered before. Its crystalline form pulsed with internal light as it spoke. You have evolved beyond our models, it stated flatly. This outcome was calculated as impossible. You made a fundamental error, Sarah replied. You saw our individuality as weakness rather than strength. You thought chaos was our nature, but you never understood that when threatened, humans find perfect harmony in resistance. The tertiary entity's form fluctuated. We miscalculated. The collective is prepared to negotiate with Thrall. No negotiation, Sarah said firmly. Unconditional surrender or complete destruction. You came to exterminate us. Remember that as you decide. The transmission ended. Through the resonance network, Sarah felt the moment the tertiary made their choice. The crystalline ships throughout Earth orbit began powering down their weapon systems. They're surrendering, Admiral Joe confirmed. Ground forces are standing down worldwide. A cheer erupted across the bridge, echoed through the resonance link from ships throughout the fleet. Sarah felt the collective exultation of thousands of minds united in victory. 3 days later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Alpine station, rebuilt after the initial invasion. Below, Earth was healing, the scars of occupation still visible but fading. The remaining tertiary vessels were departing the solar system under human escort, their hive mind having agreed to a non-interference pact. Admiral Joe joined her at the viewport. The resonance technology changed everything, she remarked. Not just how we fight, but who we are. Sarah nodded. They thought humans were dangerous because we're unpredictable and individualistic. They never considered that our greatest strength might be our capacity to unite when necessary, while maintaining the creative chaos that drives our innovation. What happens now? Zhao asked. Do we dismantle the resonance network? Sarah watched as a shuttle ascended from Earth, carrying representatives to the orbital diplomatic station, where the final terms with the tertiary would be negotiated. No, she said finally. We maintain it as a defensive measure, but we evolve it. The resonance showed us something profound, a way to connect without losing ourselves. That might be humanity's next great frontier. The Admiral smiled. They declared victory too soon. Yes, Sarah agreed, watching Earth rotate serenely below them. They had no idea what storm they were awakening. In the depths of interstellar space, the tertiary hive mind retreated, its crystalline vessels carrying a warning to the wider galactic community. The species called human was not to be underestimated. They appeared chaotic and divided, but when threatened, they achieved a unity of purpose that defied comprehension. The storm they had awakened would not be forgotten.